Well, good morning, kids, and welcome. It's going to be time for another adventure. And this time, it'll be a couple of superchargers and a state park. Huge surprise, I know. Well, I got my coffee, and we got the plan, so off we go. And here's the plan for today. Starting off at 87% state of charge, and the plan is to hit the Willmar Supercharger, then a visit to Upper Sioux Agency State Park, and then we'll hit Marshall on the way back. Today we are heading west, and why today? Well, that's easy because it looked like it's going to be sunny and around 40 degrees. We've had this super wacky winter up here where in mid-February it's 40 degrees with zero snow on the ground. And why west? There's a couple of superchargers that ended up being on a route near my destination. That destination is Upper Sioux Agency State Park. And I'm heading there because this is the last week it will be open to the public. The DNR and state of Minnesota are giving that back to the Upper Sioux community. And I think that's great. I support that. And I'm not going to go into all the history there. You can go ahead and look into that if you wish. But it's a great state park, very pretty, and I'd like to get a chance to see it before it closes to the public one more time. And it turned out those other superchargers were on the route too. So, west we go. I would just like to point out this is one of the best water towers ever. This is apparently in Cosmos, Minnesota, and I had not encountered this one before. We've got it at their little park back here. I dig it. And notably, the Cosmos water tower and their park is on Astro Boulevard. So, well played, Cosmos. Well played. Made it to Willmar and came in here at about 22%, fully preconditioned. It's a 8-stall 250 kilowatt, pretty common V3 supercharger. This one's out of Cub Foods, about a 10-minute stop. Let's get plugged. And this is the good news, even on a, relatively cold day of about 30 degrees today, came in fully preconditioned, getting over 250 kilowatts. And since the last charge has been a little high, the fun 420 watt hours a mile, and I was definitely cranking the speed. We'll be out of here in under 10 minutes. Well, I ran in to hit the bathroom and could barely make it back in time to unplug and move on here. So got about 1 minute remaining and at about 50% state of charge now. I did decide to add a park I found up here, Robbins Island Regional Park. Looks to be decent. They're always worth checking out if you're nearby, just in case you want to come back. So time to unplug and head up there. Ended up here about an extra minute, and we'll have very comfortable amounts to check out this park and then get out to Upper Sioux, tool around there a bit, and get down to Marshall. Not a bad setup here. Little point you can walk out on. This lake is at least mostly frozen, but you can still hear a lot of ice and water activity moving around out there. Probably not on the camera. It is not very thick and not safe to go out on for sure. Found a nice spot to park, and this is the nice thing if you end up needing to do some work or get connected. Just throw on the hotspot and switch into my work mode. Make a little space. Made it over to Upper Sioux Agency State Park, and unfortunately the office is already permanently closed, so I won't be able to stop in there, but we'll tour around the park a bit, find a good spot, lunch. Hello from deeper into Upper Sioux Agency State Park. I hiked down the valley and managed to find the campground back here. And this would be a good spot to stop to eat something. Here I'm getting a last look at the teepee sites. There's not too many Minnesota state parks that have them. This was one of them. And long ago, I stayed in this one. Either this one or the site next to it. I don't remember which one it was. But pretty nice setup here. Top at Upper Sioux, and it is as pretty as I remember. I decided just to start walking and ended up hiking quite a few miles and landed in the campground, which is where you saw the teepees, and now up on the like a Prairie Ridge trail. got pretty good prairie on one side. And as you come around, I believe that's the Yellow Medicine River Valley down there. And the river, if you can see it. Well, finishing up the hike through some of where the agency was. It's kind of a weird place to be. The park is pretty well totally shut down. It's also pretty clearly abandoned in terms of maintenance for the past many months. But it was nice to get out here and remember it. And curious what will happen to some of the outbuildings and things and stuff like that. But happy to see it go back. Well, I am muddy but happy, just leaving Upper Sioux Agency now, and looks like aiming to get to Marshall Supercharger with about 10%, and I'm at 30% now. So it's been a very successful hike. Ended up hiking way more than I planned to, and I'm behind schedule, but that's why it was nice to hedge some kitty carrot home. Okay, efficiency so far. We're gonna have to go with the since charge since I didn't reset the trip. 317 watt-hours a mile is way better since that first supercharger stop. We'll see how we do into Marshall. Should get there in about 40 minutes with about 10% charge. And I would like to point out that it is 45 degrees outside. How about that Minnesota winter? Brutal, huh? I don't know if you can see it, but I want to show you the battery had gotten all the way down. I was cooking on the way up, but it had gotten all the way down to 67 Fahrenheit as it sat here, which is not too bad, but that is why it's going to go ahead and crank the preconditioning. And that originally it said 20%, but because I let the car cold soak for a little while, it needs to burn a bunch of that to heat up the batteries because it's not sure what speed I'm going to be going. So that's how that works. Welcome to the Marshall, Minnesota Supercharger. Came in right as anticipated at about 11%. With the preconditioning, that was 347 watt-hours a mile, not too bad. And it is estimating a long charge here of 35 minutes. This one's at a Hy-Vee, and that Hy-Vee has a Wahlburger. So maybe I'll eat there or look around at what else is nearby. let's get plugged in. It was able to precondition all the way up, so I'd imagine this should be pretty quick. Yep, we cleared 250 kW. That's why we like the V3 Superchargers. And interestingly enough, it has now switched to 14 minutes to continue trip. So I'm not sure if it was just misestimating, but we'll see. I think that might be a record. I've seen there's 257 kW. This Marshall Supercharger is a 12 stall V3. Went in a little bit before the first one you saw today. I think this one went in June of last year, something like that. And presently, I'm the only one here. We go inside and see what Hy-Vee's all about. Well, comically, it flipped to 7 minutes when I walked out of the car, and I could barely even get to the bathroom and get a burger ordered in time to make it back, and I overcharged, and it's 65%. So we'll be heading out. As soon as I take a few bites here, we are gonna be leaving Marshall at 65%, heading home, and we'll be getting there with plenty of overhead. So here I'd like to show you what happens when you get something unexpected, such as in this case wind. And originally I think it had forecast 20-something%, and you can see the orange line trending much lower than that on actual arrival. And down here it'll tell you all these reasons, and it can get pretty nerdy about the reasons. It's kind of impressive that it even knows the direction of the wind, etc. It's probably also forecasting knowing the temperature drop. As the sun goes down here, it's going to drop quick and get legitimately cold tonight. So by the time I'm back, that'll have some impact as well. But all that said, it always tells you what to do. It always adjusts pretty quickly and pretty conservatively to the surprises. So it's saying, 8 or 9% right now. I suspect by the time I get closer, it will actually be higher than that. And if it gets into any point where it's entirely not sure, it'll just add a supercharger to the route and we'll hit that. But I don't think that'll be necessary today. Back home, and it was 302 watt-hours a mile in that last segment, which is actually quite good, at least from what I see, and arrived back with 7% state of charge. So it turns out I didn't really overcharge too much. That's nice. Got back just as it was getting dark, and on the way discovered a town I don't think I had driven through before called Henderson, and it was kind of cool. So I might need to go back out to that area near the Minnesota River and see what's up out there. Left at about 8 o'clock this morning, and it's 6-something now. 2 or 3 hours of hiking in the middle, and I'll take that. And also got the 45 degrees outside. So it was a nice sunny day. Maybe some of that will show up in the footage. Thanks for riding along, and I'll see you next time.